For highly productive wood hauling units, you just can't beat John Deere. They're rugged so you can rely on them day after day. These are world-class units manufactured in a certified ISO 9001 factory. And they're comfortable to keep you productive all day long. These skidders are easy to service, and they're very easy to run. Plus, these units are built with your safety in mind. Operator safety and the safety of others working around the machine are top priorities at John Deere. During the next few minutes, we'll see how this concern for safety is incorporated into the everyday maintenance and operation of the John Deere G Series 3 skidders. The information we're about to review and much more is contained in the Machine Operator's Manual. Located in this container on the inside of the right door, the manual should always be kept there for ready reference when periodic maintenance, safety, and operational questions arise. In addition, a special safety manual will accompany the operator's manual. It's your responsibility as the operator to read and become familiar with both before operating the machine. This video is divided into 3 sections. The first section shows the pre-start walk-around and daily service on the G Series 3 skidder. The second section looks at the operator's station with its controls and safety systems. And the third section examines some safety tips when operating the machine. These sections may be watched individually or all together. Each section is identified by a numbered symbol in the lower right corner of the screen, corresponding to those shown here for each section. This will help you search through the tape to find the specific section you want to view. Although we're showing a 648 model skidder in this program, the checks, service locations, controls, and operation are the same or similar for the other G Series 3 skidders. Inside the left cab door is the periodic maintenance chart. It provides a breakdown of service requirements at specified intervals. It also contains a diagram showing their location. This information is also found in the operator's manual. It's a good idea to review the information in the periodic maintenance section of the operator's manual before performing any maintenance on the machine. Daily service begins on the right side of the unit. A remote grease bank is provided for lubrication of the steering cylinder pivot points and the front axle oscillation pivot assemblies. Also in this area is where the transmission oil level can be checked. If the unit is equipped with a direct drive transmission, the level should be checked when it is cold. However, if the unit has a torque converter transmission, the oil should be warmed to operating temperature and the level checked with the engine running. In either case, if necessary, transmission oil can be added through this tube. The process can be made easier by pulling out the hose and placing it in the hook. Removing the right engine cover will give you access to the right side of the engine. Here, you can check the engine oil level. Engine oil is added through this tube. Belt tension can be checked. You can also see the guarding around the fan. Check the air cleaner unloading valve. When required, the air cleaner element can be removed by taking off this cover. You can also check the primary and the final fuel filters. If necessary, water can be drained from the system here. The engine coolant level can be checked by looking at the amount of coolant in the recovery tank. If necessary, coolant can be added to the recovery tank. Also, as you're doing your pre-start inspection, look for worn or frayed wires and loose or corroded connections. And speaking of connections, the starter terminals are shielded to prevent shorting across them to start the engine. Bypass starting is a dangerous practice. Start the engine only from the operator station with a key. This warning decal on the starter provides an additional reminder not to bypass start. To the rear of the engine side shield is an access cover that will let you check the hydraulic oil level sight gauge. The sight glass decal has a scale for cold oil and a scale for warm oil. Read the appropriate scale as it applies to the machine operating temperature at the time. If necessary, hydraulic oil is added through this tube located on top of the hood. As you walk around the unit, clean off any trash buildup, especially around the engine side shield and grill area that could cause overheating. The batteries are accessed through the left engine side shield. When charging or removing the batteries, disconnect the ground or negative cables first. This helps prevent damage to the electrical components and lessens the potential for sparks that could ignite battery gases. Also located here is the master electrical shutoff switch. When doing your daily checks, look around the machine for mechanical or structural damage, missing bolts, excessive wear, anything that might cause a failure at a critical moment. Check all four wheels for cuts or problems that may pose potential downtime or loss of machine control. This inspection should include the ROPS and its fasteners. Also, check for loose or missing wheel hardware. And make sure the tires are properly inflated. Proper inflation will help improve the controllability of the skidder. As you check over the unit, look for hydraulic leaks, frayed hoses, damaged tubes, missing clamps, or rubbing hoses. A special warning about searching for high-pressure leaks. Escaping fluid under pressure can penetrate the skin, causing serious injury. Search for leaks with a piece of cardboard. If an accident occurs, seek treatment immediately. Don't wait. Before operation, check and lubricate the frame hinge pivots and the cylinder pins pivot locations. Refer to the operator's manual or periodic maintenance chart for locations of the grease points. Be sure to regularly check the fire extinguisher. Read its operating instructions and replace if necessary, if not fully charged. By the same token, periodically check the fire suppression system if equipped. Another periodic check is the fuel tank filler screen. It should be inspected and cleaned periodically. Refueling is quick and simple while standing on the ground. G-Series skidders have excellent visibility. With units equipped with a cab, be sure to take a moment to clean the polycarbonate glazing so you can see where you're going and who is around you. Avoid abrasive solvent that could damage the material. Also, a clean operator station goes a long way in promoting safe operation. This includes keeping things clear of the pedals and levers. This concludes the pre-start inspection and daily service of the machine. For your convenience, a pre-start inspection checklist is printed in your operator's manual. When climbing onto or off the machine, be sure to use the steps and handholds properly. Operators are more frequently injured by falls from equipment than any other single cause. It's important that you face the unit and maintain at least a 3-point contact, 2 hands and a foot, or 2 feet and a hand. For comfort during a long day's work, the seat automatically adjusts to your weight. You can fine-tune the adjustment with this knob below the seat. If you have an optional air ride seat, you can adjust for weight by using this button on the front of the seat. Pushing in will raise the seat, pulling out will lower it. Of course, with any seat, you have fore and aft movement for leg length. The seat back angle can be adjusted. The seat can be turned 15 degrees to the right. This provides excellent access to the right-hand control console. It also improves visibility to the winch and grapple functions. A seat belt comfortably and securely holds you in the seat. In the event of an overturn, that's where you want to stay. For these reasons, the seat belt should be kept in proper working order. Be aware of its condition and replace when necessary at least every 3 years regardless of appearance. A date code on the belt indicates when the belt was installed. Before operation, become familiar with the controls and instrumentation. To the front, you have the hand throttle knob if equipped. Pushing on this lever will let you adjust the telescoping feature of the steering wheel. Pulling on the lever will let you tilt the wheel to the desired angle. Removing this cover exposes the fuses. On units equipped with a torque converter transmission, the park brake switch is located on the front console. A decal here reminds you that the park brake must be on in order to start the engine. The cold weather start aid switch, if equipped, is located on the upper panel. The center panel consists of several indicator lights that monitor vital machine systems and components. Turning on the key switch will bulb check the indicators. With the engine on, pushing the select button will change the display in the monitor window. You can display the hour meter, battery voltage, transmission gear, and engine RPM. To the right of the monitor window are gauges for engine coolant temperature and fuel level. Below are indicator lights for various machine systems. During operation, if the yellow caution light comes on, a problem is developing in one of the systems that is also illuminated. It is not necessary to stop the engine, but the cause should be investigated as soon as possible. If the red stop engine indicator flashes and the alarm sounds, stop the engine immediately and investigate the cause. Depending on transmission type, there are 2 or 3 pedals located on the floor. The right pedal is the throttle. Next to it is the service brake. And on direct drive units, the left control is the inching pedal. Pressing this pedal will disengage the transmission. Releasing it will engage the transmission. This pedal is not found on torque converter units. To the operator's right are the transmission controls. This unit is equipped with a direct drive transmission. A single lever controls transmission speed and direction in both forward and reverse. In this position, the park brake is automatically set. The engine will not start unless the transmission is in park. The button on the knob is the differential lock switch. In poor tractive conditions, engaging the differential lock locks all four wheels together. When traction improves, disengaging the lock returns the differentials to their standard action. This improves steering maneuverability, minimizes ground disturbance, tire wear, and surrounding tree damage. On torque converter equipped machines, the shift lever has a gear enable button. Pressing the enable button lets you move the lever out of the neutral position. Pushing the lever to the right will upshift the transmission. Pulling the lever to the left will downshift the transmission. The right button, to the front of the shift selector, is the differential lock button. Its application was demonstrated earlier. The left button is for the D-clutch function. This causes the transmission to shift to neutral when the service brake pedal is depressed. This is helpful when using the grapple or winch. To the right of the transmission controls is the blade control lever. Pulling back on the lever raises the blade. Pushing forward lowers the blade. If the unit is equipped with a dual-function grapple, there are two controls for the grapple, boom, and arch located behind the blade control. Fore and aft movement of the forward lever raises and lowers the arch. Movement left and right raises and lowers the boom. On the rear lever, movement to the right opens the tongs. Left movement closes the tongs. To help maintain the load, it has a detented position that provides a constant tightening pressure on the tongs. Pressing the switch on top of the lever to the rear will rotate the grapple clockwise. Pressing the switch to the front will rotate the grapple the other way. The grapple will rotate continuously in either direction. If the skidder is equipped with a single lever pilot controller, the lever movement is the same as the two lever equipped unit. The difference is in the four buttons on top of the lever. The top two buttons control grapple tong movement. The bottom two buttons control grapple rotation. On pilot-controlled machines, pressing a trigger button on the side of the lever while closing the tongs will provide constant tightening pressure on the tongs to hold the load. A red light indicates the constant tightening pressure is in use. Pressing the tong open button will release the constant pressure feature. If the unit is equipped with a single function grapple, the boom and grapple control lever is located to the far right. Moving the lever forward raises the grapple. Moving the lever back lowers the grapple. Moving it to the right opens the tongs, and moving it to the left closes the tongs. Again, this function is detented for constant tightening pressure on the tongs. Like the dual function grapple, pushing the rocker switch rotates the grapple. And like the dual function grapple, the single function grapple will rotate continuously in either direction. If the skidder is equipped with a single lever pilot controller, the lever movement only controls boom raise and lower. Like the dual function grapple controls we just saw, the top two buttons control grapple tong movement and the bottom two buttons control grapple rotation. Behind the grapple controls is the winch control if equipped. It has four positions: free spool, brake off, brake on, and power in. Refer to the operator's manual for details of operation. Above the grapple controls on the rear right post, you will find a number of other cab controls. The work light switches are located at the top. Below are the windshield wiper washer controls if equipped. The heater and air conditioning controls if equipped are towards the bottom. On the left side is the fire extinguisher and windshield washer tank fill on cab units. Behind them is the handle used with the jack behind the left engine side shield to tilt the cab for service. This brings us to the end of the Controls and Safety Systems section. Be sure to review and understand the operator's manual to become more familiar with the machine controls and features before operating. As we've seen, the design of the John Deere Series skidders reflects a lot of consideration for safety. But does this automatically ensure safety on the job site? There are many pieces of safety equipment on the skidder, but there is no assurance that the safety equipment will get the job done unless you use the safety equipment that's on the unit. As we've seen in the previous section of this video, one of the most important pieces of safety equipment is your seat belt. Buckle up before you start the engine. The rollover protective structure by itself does not assure your safety in the event of an overturn. If you're not wearing your seat belt, you could be thrown or crushed, possibly by the ROPS itself. Don't operate under the mistaken impression that if a machine overturns, you can hold on or jump free. That impression may be fatal. Before starting out, make a quick check of the operational controls. It's better to take a moment now than to find out at a critical moment when it's too late to avoid an accident. Even though the backup alarm is sounding, you will need to look behind you before and while backing up. Make sure bystanders are clear before proceeding. As was mentioned, it's up to you to use your safety equipment, and it's also up to you to use good safety judgment. As the operator, you have a primary responsibility for the actions of the skidder and your load. Always think about what you have to do before you do it. Never stop thinking about what is the safe thing to do, not only for yourself, but for the people around you. Whether at the landing, at the stump, or on the trail, you have to watch out for the other guy. This brings up another important point. The skidder is designed for hauling logs, not passengers. There is only one seat and seat belt in the skidder, and that's for you, the operator. Don't carry passengers, particularly on the hood of the unit. When setting up a logging area, there is a general rule of thumb. The shortest route may not be the safest. Spend a minute or two sizing up the terrain for the flattest grade. And, unless you're thoroughly familiar with the lay of the land, walk it before you start working the area. There may be hidden springs, rotted out stump holes, abandoned wells, or animal dens deep enough to cause trouble. Snags or leaners can end up in someone's lap if they're left alone, so get the area cleaned up. Here's a situation that demands caution. When skidding downhill, this operator eases his load lower to increase drag and slow down. Once on the level, he raises the load to reduce drag and to avoid hitting obstacles like stumps. When traveling, Keep the blade high to avoid stumps and other obstacles. The safest driving speed depends on conditions. Where it's rough or where you can't see what's ahead, slow down. It's easier to take evasive action. The idea is to haul wood, but don't get too greedy. You may be fighting time, and a lighter load moved at a higher speed not only increases production, it also gives you a greater margin of safety. That's because the skidder will be more controllable. Whenever possible, travel straight up or down slopes. Avoid going across the slope or turning on a slope to minimize the chance of an overturn. On the subject of side hills, remember this scene? He should have been winching in the direction of the slope, and even more important, his skidder should be in a direct line with the logs being gathered, no matter what type of skidder you have. A couple of points about winching logs. Always set the park brake and lower the blade to make sure the machine cannot roll. For your own sake, wear heavy gloves when handling cable. Where you set the choker is important. Set it too far up, and the chances of a log pivoting against a stump when it's winched are increased. Setting the choker near the butt minimizes this, but remember, set it up far enough to prevent it from flying off. Another thing to keep your eye on is the condition of the cable. Broken strands mean a weakened cable, and it can snap, perhaps when someone is close enough to get hurt. Cables can also break if they're too small for the work being done. Before winching, make sure the area is clear of bystanders. Also, before winching, be sure to buckle your seat belt. Again, winch in the direction of the slope and in a direct line with the logs. When shutting down the unit, there are a few simple procedures that you should follow. The machine should be parked on a level surface. Move the transmission lever to park, which automatically sets the park brake on direct drive units. On torque converter models, move the transmission to neutral and set the park brake. Lower the blade and grapple to the ground. Operate the engine at half speed without load for a couple minutes. This will help cool down the turbocharger. Slow the engine to low idle before stopping the engine. If you're shutting down for the day, it's a good idea to remove the key and lock up the machine against vandalism. This may also include turning off the electrical master switch on the left side of the engine compartment. Vandal protection is important because you never know who might drop by. If you plan to haul the unit, you should always use caution when loading it on or off a trailer. This is one of the most likely times for a tipping accident. Be sure the trailer is sitting on a firm, flat surface. The bed should be clean of debris. Use chalk blocks against the trailer wheels to help prevent the trailer from moving. You should always fasten your seat belt before loading or unloading in case of an overturn. It's recommended that you have a spotter to help line up the skidder. To keep yourself straight and on target, some operators line up on a board or other object on the trailer. The center line of the machine should be on the center line of the trailer. The unit should also be balanced fore and aft on the trailer. Once on the trailer, set the park brake And be sure to install the articulation locking bar. And lower the grapple and blade. After cool down, shut off the engine and release the hydraulic pressure on the blade. As before, lock up the unit against vandalism. Fasten each corner of the machine to the trailer with a chain or cable with appropriate load binder. Before you haul the machine, be sure of the height from the top of the load to the ground. It's better to know your limitations beforehand rather than learning the hard way after you hit something. As we've seen, John Deere G-Series skidders are equipped with many safety features and systems, but it's up to you, the operator, to use them. You have to think about every move you make before you make it. And it doesn't matter how much experience you have, it only takes one mistake to make the difference in your life or in the lives of others. Statistics show that of all the accidents reported, over 90% of the operators hurt or killed were listed as experienced. Accidents don't always happen to the other guy. That other guy could be you.